Hey, what's going on, everyone? Today I'm going to show you how you can add weather stripping to your Tesla just like you would in your house to make your car more energy efficient, prevent the air leak from going in or out. This works for both the summer or the winter. Especially in the winter, there might be some cold air going in through some of the door gaps, trunk and front gap. So we're going to help you avoid that, prevent that, and then also this helps with some of the noises. So if we are sealing as much gap as possible on the doors and the trunk and the front, the outside noise is not gonna be as loud inside. So makes your cabin quieter, has multiple benefits. First of all, I'm gonna cover the detailed step-by-step installation guide, all the detailed step, and my kit didn't even come with any install guide. So I had to figure this out. So I'm gonna make that super easy for you, how to do the installation, the whole 4 doors, A-pillar, B-pillar, front, trunk. I'm gonna show you all. I'm also gonna tell you my experience before and after of how much of a difference that I personally notice, or what my use case has been and how this thing has worked out for me. What you're not gonna get from this video is an actual scientific test of the decibel difference on the noise or some fancy equipment using on all doors to see how much air that it went through and whatnot. You're not gonna get that from my video because I don't have that type of a resource, and frankly I don't think those tests are gonna be very accurate even if I try to attempt it, because the environment that I would do the testing, let's say I go on the highway and show you this is the before decibel level and then after decibel. For that, the assumption is that everything is exactly the same. That means the speed, the wind, the traffic, none of that is going to be the same unless it was in a controlled environment, in a lab or an area that you can control. With that, let's get started. So this is what the packaging looks like. Super simple product. You see that this is a weather stripping. This is soft material. You got 3M adhesive. All we're doing is on those edges, we're going to apply this and press it down. Some of this, depending on which version it is, like say, let's say the front door right, it is going to have that V shape in the bottom, so you know how to align this. I'm going to show you what that looks like, but these are all labeled: B pillar, A pillar, back door, front, trunk. They give you everything. It's labeled. Mine didn't come with any instructions, but I think I can figure this out. They do send you adhesive promoter. I highly recommend you use this so that this sticks a lot better with this applied. We're gonna start with this driver door, front left, and then make our way into the other parts of the car. So first things first, we're gonna take a wet towel and thoroughly clean this area so that the adhesive sticks to the surface. Just go around and do that. Make sure it is thoroughly cleaned. Super simple step. And don't forget to reach underneath here and then clean all of this surface as well. So wipe off everything, especially on the edge. Now this is thoroughly cleaned and dry. Now we're gonna take an alcohol pad and go around in the edges and clean this with the alcohol pad as well, just so that we prep this area. After you have thoroughly cleaned this with alcohol wipes, we're gonna take the adhesive promoter that they send, and then we're gonna take this out and then put a clear coat around it. This is super strong, it smells nasty, so just be careful. What we do is just go around and put this adhesive promoter throughout where we're gonna be putting this weather stripping. So that's your next step. Now for the driver door, as the name suggests, front door left, this is what we're gonna be putting in. So let's remove this from the packaging. So that is the weather stripping there. It's gonna be a little weird installing that, not gonna lie, because this is not gonna be exactly like a perfect fit. So if you look at this V shape there, that is where we're gonna align with that V shape so that we can align that. That's where we're gonna start, and then run this skinnier side, the smaller side, up and down. So that's where we're gonna put it. And then this thicker side, left to right. First, we're gonna align this, and then we're going to start sticking it left to right. This is going to be long, so we're gonna cut the end, but that's what you start, right here, and then make your way around it. If you look at this skinny side, it's pretty straightforward. There is a little bit of a gap here. Where we're gonna put it is right here, inside of this area. So we would just put it right there, and make our way all the way through on the top. Same with this guy. What we do is, if you look at the adhesive here, it's a little bit raised, and then there's the flap on the bottom. The goal here is we're gonna put this in, so any splatter that comes from the bottom, hopefully this raised area is going to block it and won't let it pass through up top to see all the gunk and everything that we showed you earlier. One thing you have to be careful is not to block this drain holes here. They provide a good protection so that all the rain and everything that ultimately make it through the top, it can drain through this hole. So there's one here on the edge, and there is gonna be another one right there. So we wanna make sure that when we're putting this in, we don't completely block that, so the water could still drain from the top. Now we have backed out a little bit of this cover. We are ready to align this to this gap here. And the good way to gauge this is make sure you don't block this hole here, and then just gonna make our way around it. So that looks good to me. Now the job is just to run this all the way up. Now what you do is just take this piece here and align it, remove some of that stripping, and just make your way around. Again, your goal is not to put it right on the edge here. Your goal is to put it on this little well that you see. All right, so we have made it through the crevices and everything all the way up to the top here. And as you can see, this is longer than the car. So what we're gonna do is we're going to measure all the way up to the surface. So right here at the end, and then we're simply going to cut that off. So I have a little bit of extra here. What we do is take this again, the final piece of this. One thing that you need to be careful is not to stretch this. Just let this slide in. Don't stretch it out, because then it is going to want to contract it later, and then it's going to come off. So don't stretch this. Try your best. It's not going to look too pretty or perfect, but it will do the job. So then you just go around pressing on this. This is doing pretty good. I think the adhesive promoter that they sent is doing its job. This is strong. Surprisingly, I was a little hesitant if this was gonna hold. This is holding really good. So as you see, we just kind of made our way up, and that's what that looks like. Now this bottom is a thicker piece, so it may be a little bit difficult, but again, do not stretch this. Make sure you have access to that port in the bottom for the drain. And if you look at it, it kind of aligns. There is that well here, a little bit of a gap. That's what we're filling with this weather stripping piece. And just make your way around, push it a little bit, and then just keep doing that throughout. So you're gonna have this thick layer in the bottom, and I can see that this is going to be helpful, but we'll see. So just like the top, when we get to the end here in the bottom, it is going to be a lot longer. So we're gonna kind of eyeball this and snip this. Now after you cut that and then attach it, then again, make sure that the drain hole is exposed. Then you just go around and then just press this one segment at a time and make sure this is aligned and it is sticking to the surface. So now we're done with the top and the bottom. So this is what it looks like on the top. That's what it looks like in the bottom. And this is what I was trying to communicate earlier with this ledge. So it creates this opening here, and then so there's that flap, and then the idea is if there's a splash or air or anything trying to go through here, hopefully this blocks it and then bounces it back so that you don't get it. So this is kind of like a deterrent, it's a block. So hopefully it helps. Again, not 100%, but this is one of the ways that you can prevent the air and water from going in and the noise from going in. It's just another tool on your toolkit. You're not quite done from the front door. I mean, you could leave it as is for the front, but they also send you something called A-pillar, and that is right here. So this is gonna be the most tedious one. This is what is the A-pillar in the front. So we're gonna have to go and then put the adhesive and this weather stripping all throughout. So it's gonna be a little bit difficult because you have to go behind that. It's gonna be a tight space, and then we're gonna make it all the way through. So after you prep the surface, you're gonna grab the one that says A-pillar. You're gonna get two pieces which are identical, one for the left and one for the right. There's not really orientation for the top to bottom, but what you need to make sure is when you look at this, there is an adhesive side that is going to be attaching to the inside part of the car, and then there is a flap that is going to kind of hang out free right here. So that's the only thing you need to make sure is adhesive side goes inside. Of course, your surface is already prepped. You loop this through back here, and then you remove the adhesive cover and then start attaching to the end here. So basically go around, look at this and then just align it inside and start going down with this through all the way to the bottom. So this is definitely on a very awkward spot. Again, wanted to show you close up. The adhesive side goes inside, this flap kind of hangs out here, and then you're just going to make your way through and remove the adhesive backing, align this where it needs to go, and then just push it down. Don't forget the area behind this hinge here, and just make your way through right there, there, all the way to the down, and then we're gonna cut off any excess. Okay, I'm done installing this part here, all the way to the bottom. Not gonna lie, behind this is gonna be a little bit hard, so you have to push it through there, all the way through, but at the end, that's what it looks like. So with this A-pillar here that you get the insulation inside, and then there's the little flap that is outside. So this is supposed to block the noise and any of the splashes or things that you get in the gap here too. So further prevent this, so that acts as a barrier. If we were to look at it from outside, you can see that there's that extra gap that you see right there. And then if we were to close this door completely, there is going to be a layer there as well as a barrier from anything going in from this gap. So just helps a little bit. So now we're completely done with the front door. So it covers this side, the bottom, and then the A-pillar at the very end. So front door completely done. Let's move to the back door. Now we're gonna move on to B-pillar. So you'll get the B-pillar, and this is it right here. This is the gap we're gonna fill with the B-pillar. So just like all the other ones, you remove the backing and you go and start on the very top here, and you make your way, just pasting it on this gap. Just going to go down, do not stretch this, and just gonna make our way down there. So we made our way down there. It only goes to this corner, so then we're just going to cut it, and that should be it. So this is done. And one thing I was worried about is the ability to close door, but I was worried for nothing, because when you look at it, it doesn't even affect it. So it fills that gap. Again, the gap that I showed you since the beginning there, it fills the gap really nicely. So now splashes and even noise when it's trying to go through the gap, it should help, right? Because look at that, it fills that gap right there. That's what it looks like. Now we're gonna move on to the back door here. Same idea, it labels it back door left Y. You're gonna need that adhesive promoter and then the alcohol prep pad. So you wanna thoroughly clean this and prep this out. So with the rear one, we're gonna follow the same protocol. They give you this edge here. We're gonna put it right here. The door is already prepped. We're gonna start from the bottom because that makes it easier to cut on the top, because that L shape, this one, has to be right here, right? That's your corner. So we'll start from here and make our way up to the top and the bottom. Exact same deal, nothing fancy here. And I'm gonna pull this up and then just run it through that gap there. Again, you're not attaching it to the edge. You're trying to fill that little bit of gap that you see, because this is gonna go and hinge with the door and you wanna block that. So just the idea is to just run this across, make it to the top. So when you're putting this in, you wanna make sure that the adhesive goes behind this edge here, and then you push it so that it kinda aligns with that, and then just follow the same protocol throughout. Right here is gonna be a little hard because, you know, there's that notch coming out. You're not gonna get it exact, so you just have to run it across and then just keep doing that. If you look at it, this is within the edge, so you're literally just running it against that edge. Take it all the way, and instead of cutting at the end, I decided to just leave it there. We'll see how it works. I may have to cut it right here, but this might just work even on the very top. We'll see when we close the door what it does, but basically that's what you wanna do. Just run it across, and then now we're gonna do the bottom piece, and look at this. This aligns really nicely where the drain hole is unobstructed. Just need to make our way all the way towards the end. So I'm done with the rear door. That is the layer, the outer layer that we just put all the way through. Looks pretty good. And you see the protection that it provides. Double weather stripping there. And this is what I was talking about here on the front again. There is that ledge here, so the idea is it should block wind and any of the splashes that you may get, so that it would, in theory, would go here and then block it, just create that little canal. And I think it will also help if any of the water or anything that gets here, for it to just drain down from there and then go all the way to the bottom. So that's where we're at. We're done with the rear door. We're gonna move on to the trunk and the frunk. Now for the trunk, you get this one giant piece here, just like the rear door, and there's no bends or anything, and that is on purpose, right? What we're gonna do is we're gonna go from here and then align the edges, just make our way through that, just run it all across this edge, and then hop it, and then keep going all the way down there. So that's what we're gonna do, is all around the edges. So as I said, we're just going to make our way around. This is one edge. It doesn't matter which edge you start with, and then just put the adhesive down, peel this. Your goal is to put this inside this edge that you see from exterior, and then just paste this here and make your way. So it is gonna get a little bit weird right here in the corner. All you have to do is bend it, do not stretch it, and then just make your way through it. And the little edge here, it does fit really well. Push it up, and then the same thing. Right here, there is nothing, so we just have to attach it to the side, and then push this, kind of bend it as much as you can. Do not stretch it. Just bend it, nice, easy bend, nothing sharp. And if it's not sticking, then you can remove it and try to stick it a little bit better. So right here, I think I stretched it a little bit. So you want to give it enough space there so it doesn't come off. And then you just keep making your way around it by doing that. So on the zigzag patterns, just have to be patient, take your time, and make sure that this is stuck to the wall. So right here, that's the corner there. You wanna make sure you push it through and nothing is sticking out. Like right here, and push it, hold it, make sure this is stuck well, and make your way around it. So when we got to the other side, I didn't even have to cut it. This was pretty much the right length. So then I'll just go around, pushing all of this down. And if you look at it on this side, we did the same thing, got through, and right there. So I didn't even have to cut this. This was perfect. Of course, we gotta make sure that this closes well, and there's no issues on any of the gap, and no problem. It closed really well, and we know that we created another barrier here and added basically an insulation, weather stripping, all around there. So if we were to open this, yeah, that's what we added. So just like all the other pieces that we have already installed, remove the adhesive backing, come here at the edge, and then paste this in, and simply make our way through here. And again, gonna go right at the gap, showing you a little bit closely. You see the edge that this creates right here? That's where, inside of that edge is where we're gonna put this. It's a little bit hard to do with one hand here, but we're just gonna make our way all throughout. So the front one was slightly longer, as you can see. So what we're gonna do is cut it somewhere right there to make this fit. So then once this is installed, you wanna make your way around, pushing this in all throughout. And that's what it looks like. Gonna make your way all around up to there. Okay, so we're done. Let's test it to make sure my front closes. and it closes, so we are good to go. Now we have completed the other two doors, the trunk and the frunk. Now we just need to do the right side doors, and you follow the exact same step as the other two. There's nothing different, then you'll be done with all of this. So here's the verdict. The material quality is really good. It stretches. This is a very soft material. At the same time, it is super strong and it holds really good to the car. I have had products where the adhesive is very weak, where as soon as I attach it and then next time I come to the car, it's already fallen off. This does not do that. It is very strong adhesive, and the primer that they send, maybe that helps tremendously as well, that this is super strong even on a cold day. And if I try to pull it from here and pinch it and pull it just all around where I have installed this, it is not coming off. So that's a really great sign that it will hold up over time. Only time will tell the true quality, but just from my very short time using this and testing it out, the material quality is good, the adhesive is good, and it does the job. Now, as far as the performance of this, as I said in the beginning, I wasn't able to just test the decibel differences because, you know, it's not gonna be significant enough to make such a big impact with the type of testing that I would do. But I personally, I mean, I drive this car a lot, so I know what the car sounds like before and right after installing this, and I do notice the difference. There's less road noise, but it's not significant enough to tell you that, yeah, it's gonna make all the differences in the world. With the cold weather, though, it did help a lot because on the driver door especially, I have that gap over there. I think the gap is significant where if I'm driving, and even if I have a cabin heater on a lower setting, my left side leg, it gets a lot of cold air. So I had noticed that over time. I asked that to Tesla, and they say the panel gaps was within the spec. Obviously, Tesla was gonna say that. So I have been trying to solve that problem. And sometimes I even put like a blanket, like a small blanket on the side door just so that the air stops coming in and help with that, because I don't wanna blast the heater all the time. I rely a lot on seat heating, and that was one of my issues, was like one of my foot would, you know, significantly get colder where all that air from the door was coming in. So with this, I drove around. It's a cold day today. I drove around earlier after installing it, and that has significantly improved. So even just for that, this installation was worth it for me. So if you're in the same boat where cold air is coming in and you are trying to fix that issue where, you know, Teslas have panel gaps. So if you're trying to just fix that issue with additional insulation, it's not gonna tremendously change the impact, or the cold air is just gonna 100% stop coming in. But I did notice the difference, and it was a lot better. So I did wanted to relay that personally, that it did work for me, and I can vouch for that. Now I just have two feedback for Test Studio. One, please send a instructions manual on how to do the installation. I had to figure this out on my own, but thankfully now they should be able to embed this video for you all if you wanna check this out on how to do the installation. But that is Product Selling 101. Please send a detailed install guide and let folks know how to do the installation and what this does. Number two, I think they should send a little bit more that primer, the adhesive primer. That worked really well, but I would just like to have a little bit more. Instead of the 4 cubes that they send, perhaps do like a 6 or 8 so that you have plenty, so you can just put that all around, because I think that greatly helped with the adhesive for this installation. That will do it for today's video, but I'm really interested in knowing your feedback, your likes, your dislikes. Would you get this for your Tesla Model 3 or Model Y? Is this needed for you all? Please drop those in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you found today's video helpful, you enjoyed the video and would like to support our channel so you don't miss any of the future Tesla videos, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and come back again soon.